What's up, everyone? Welcome to your weekly tech update, the show that explores the newest, coolest, and craziest side of tech available on the interwebs. I'm your host, Ray McNeil. Coming up on the program today, we're talking BMW. They say that they can convert hybrids to electric-only mode in polluted cities. Sennheiser's Flawed headphone software is a Trojan horse for hackers. And happening in this week's What The? A man shoots himself in the groin in a Walmart meat department. That and a whole lot more coming up on your weekly tech update next. Hi everyone, BMW says that it can force its hybrid cars to switch to an all-electric mode in heavily polluted inner-city areas, helping its vehicles compete with pure battery-driven rivals as a bunch of cities are now seeking to create emissions-free zones. The car switches off the combustion engine automatically. The new X5, for instance, that's their new sport utility vehicle, has an operating range of about 80 kilometers in electric only mode. BMW is currently demonstrating the technology to local authorities in German cities, which may be forced to ban heavily polluting diesel cars as a way to meet European Union clean air rules. A global clampdown on vehicle pollution in the wake of Volkswagen's 2015 diesel emissions cheating scandal has prompted cities including London, Paris, and Stuttgart to consider bans of combustion engine vehicles. But consumers have shied away from buying electric cars because of a lack of charging infrastructure, making hybrids a more attractive option for now at least. Such a vehicle could be very important in regions such as Europe, where most drivers do not own multiple cars for different uses. Germany's highest administrative court in February ruled cities could ban diesel vehicles from some streets in order to improve air quality. A researcher in China claims to have created the world's first gene-edited babies, but he didn't publish the results in an academic journal or even provide other scientists with access to the babies. The little data he has revealed suggests that his efforts might not have worked. Instead, his work may have put the baby's health at risk. Scientist He Jian-Ku allegedly used the gene editing tool CRISPR-Cas9 to disable the CCR5 gene in 31 embryos with the goal of making children who were more resistant to HIV. He claims that 2 of the embryos were implanted, resulting in the female babies Lulu and Nana. His work has since been halted by the Chinese government, reports the Associated Press. Other genetics experiments are still waiting to verify his claims, a process that could take 2 different forms. If other scientists had access to the babies, well, then they could sequence their DNA and independently see if this gene is no longer there. Without the babies, though, the results could only be confirmed if he provided his raw sequencing data of the babies and their parents, along with all of his notes about his methods and results, which he hasn't done. The limited data he did reveal at a gene editing conference in Hong Kong this week suggests that the experiment did happen, but maybe not in the way that he intended. There are all kinds of glitches, and the data shows that the babies weren't edited very precisely, says Eric Topol, a geneticist at the Scripps Research Institute. Similarly, CRISPR expert Gitan Burgio, a geneticist at Australia's National University, says that the slides he provided showed very amateur work. I can believe that he did it because it's so bad, he said. Everyone has 2 copies of each gene, one from each parent, but Nana had only 1 copy of CCR5 edited. Plus, both babies have a combination of cells with an edit and without an edit. This is absolutely devastating, says Burgio, because it means that the babies still have the normal gene, so they're probably not more HIV resistant after all. We do know that using CRISPR to edit a gene can have unintended negative consequences on health and in other ways. Earlier this year, Nature Medicine published papers suggesting that editing one part of the DNA using this method could harm other parts of an organism's genetic code. This is called off-target effects. For example, it's possible to accidentally disrupt a system that protects from eye cancer when using CRISPR to edit something completely different. It sounds like coding work, in my opinion. In his case, the team found one new mutation in Lulu that could have been caused by CRISPR, but he decided it was safe. Still, Bergio says that the sequencing methods they used to check for off-target effects weren't enough. And it's possible the babies both have CRISPR-caused mutations that could harm their health. And even if these off-target mutations aren't harmful, research has shown that a mutation in the CCR5 gene can make people more susceptible to dying from the flu. For his part, he has defended himself and even claimed that a second pregnancy with a gene-edited baby is underway. Meanwhile, the scientific community worldwide has been fiercely critical of his efforts, which seem to have bypassed typical scientific conventions at nearly every step. The problem was not simply that he did this in the first place, it's that he didn't tell his university or almost anyone else about the experiment. And he didn't go through the typical academic peer review process to make sure his evidence was corroborated before publicly discussing it either. He likely did not obtain full informed consent from his subjects and might have even had a business motive, seeing that he is involved in 2 biotech startups. The entire debacle shows why it's important to have scientific and ethical safeguards in place, and it has pushed other geneticists to consider how they would handle this kind of research in the future. At the end of the Hong Kong summit, the organizing committee released a statement concluding that the scientific understanding and technical requirements for clinical practice remain too uncertain and the risks too great to permit clinical trials of germline editing at this time. They also announced plans to set up a rigorous, responsible translational pathway toward such trials. The statement also acknowledges that for Nana and Lulu, rigor and responsibility were absent, calling out his research for, among other serious flaws, a failure to meet ethical standards for protecting the welfare of research subjects.